Yeah, thank you so much, Ashwarya, joining us here in the voice chat. It will be helpful for so many data science aspirants. They are like waiting for you to like share your experience and basically guide them.
Yes, thank you very much. Um, I would be very happy to share my experiences. So let me begin with the first interview experience that I had. That time
Yeah.
I was in info. I was preparing for Infosys as
Hmm.
a systems engineer. So it was not decided that I'm going to be joining there as a data scientist or into the data science domain per se.
Hmm.
So over there, as everybody of us know, that these MNCs, they have the random allocation of the streams. So even
Yeah.
I was under that impression. But just prior to that, when I was in my college, by the time I
Hmm.
had got the experiences of three different internships. So with that over there,
Hmm.
I one was into data analysis using Python, one was in
Hmm.
cybersecurity, and another one was in web development. So I wanted to try all these three different fields. So I did my
Hmm.
internship over there. So that is where I understood that this is, machine learning is somewhere I would really be happy working at. So from
Okay.
that time, I
Okay.
was
That's
under an
great.
impression that yes, thank you. So that from that time, I was under an impression since my college days that I should go into machine learning, and
Hmm.
that was the time when I published my first research paper in IEEE. That was
Hmm.
combining cybersecurity and machine learning.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yes, so this was my college days. Then appeared for Infosys, and luckily, this was like some arrangement by the higher powers. So I was having offers of three different companies: Accenture,
Hmm.
Infosys, and Cognizant.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I decided to go ahead with Infosys. And when I joined there, just prior to joining the company, while I was completing my final year, they gave us two options:
Hmm.
whether you could be in web development and whether you could be
Hmm.
into data science. This was a first
Hmm.
of a kind initiative that Infosys had taken that time. They did not repeat it
Oh.
definitely, but that time it was
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
200 of us, and they had a tie up with Udacity. So in
Hmm. Hmm.
Udacity, they gave us two different options: that you can
Okay.
take the data analysis nano degree or you can
Hmm.
take
Hmm.
up web development nano degree. And because my heart was
Okay.
already at machine learning, so I thought let us take the
Hmm.
data
Hmm.
analyst nano degree because they are going to teach machine learning as well over there.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So that is how
that's
I went
actually
in.
that was a great decision to like start the career in the data science, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if I would not have got that opportunity to enter the industry with that path already laid on, it would have
Hmm.
been
Hmm.
very difficult ride for me in this field of data science, to be honest. And
Hmm.
this is what I see for many people, those who are not from data science,
Hmm.
but they want to switch to data science. So that time it becomes very difficult. So the people, those who are there with you, specifically, they are freshers. So if they have an
Hmm.
opportunity to join as a data scientist or into the
Hmm.
data analysis field or Python or anything like that, if that is the case,
Hmm.
I would always encourage them to, you know, never leave this opportunity of getting into this field, whether it is like a very less paid opportunity or it is a very
Hmm.
high paid opportunity, doesn't matter. Just get in this field with this particular expertise. Reason being,
Hmm.
once you get into other fields, either you become complacent or
Hmm.
there is too much of workload for you to get spare time to study data science.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Once you start working in the companies, it's very difficult to get the time to study. So basically, what you have studied for like starting your career in data science? What topics, or is there any preference that you had given to that, or or any particular path that you had followed?
Yes, very good question. Um, so for me, how it was, I was always interested into, I'm not a person who skims through thing and just oversees things. I always like to get my hands dirty and get deep inside things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I got to know. I watched a few lectures. Even during those times, machine learning and data science was not so freely available in the YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channels or things like that. it was not
Hmm.
so easily available to us. And
Yeah, I agree.
whatever was there, it
Hmm.
was very cryptic.
Hmm.
If you watch if you even still if you watch the lectures of Harvard, Stanford, MIT,
Hmm.
these are very they say that these are basics, but their basics also require a good level of expertise to understand those lectures. So
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
understood
totally
that,
agree.
yes, so I understood that time that I need to be very good at maths. So all my
Hmm.
friends were doing machine learning algorithms. They were focusing
Hmm.
there, and I was the one who was always studying distributions. I was studying statistics. I was studying how do these values actually impact into machine learning, all these things. So
Hmm.
I mainly focused on inferential statistics and descriptive statistics in detail.
Hmm.
And trust me, that
Okay.
was the best decision I did. And
Yeah,
I'll come
yeah.
to the point why I want to say that studying statistics is really very crucial.
Hmm.
You'll come to know about it when I will describe my experiences of next two interviews that I did, where I got selected.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure, sure. Please share that as well.
Yes. So when I was so this is the time when I joined Infosys. So before that, I had
Hmm.
prepared with the Udacity Nano degree, data analyst Nano
Hmm.
degree. So the
Hmm.
process that they follow over there is they teach you inferential statistics. They teach you pandas, NumPy, how to do data
Hmm.
manipulation. How then they
Hmm.
teach you different statistical significance tests. So we call them
Hmm.
inferential statistics. So that
Hmm.
was the part where I really focused a lot on.
Hmm. Hmm.
I did not focus always on machine learning, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because
Hmm.
when you are a fresher or you're a beginner, nobody will expect you to know all the different algorithms in detail because it's not possible. Once you start working in any algorithm, it takes 1.5 months to actually understand uh, the depths of any algorithm and the way it behaves in the production environment when you're dealing with data in the scale of more than 1000
Hmm.
rows and 800 columns and things like that. So when you're
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
data with this much amount of granularity, so this much amount of scale, that is the
Hmm.
time when you really get to understand the uh, how this algorithm is working. Otherwise,
Hmm. Hmm.
just taking out some sample 500 rows and applying KNN of it doesn't really give you a good understanding of KNN or things like that. So I was
Hmm.
always
True.
after understanding the basics of mathematics of machine learning, and that is where I focused a lot. All my friends ridiculed me that time that what are you doing? This is not what how you do. But I was quite
Hmm.
focused on that, and
Hmm. Hmm.
that helped me a lot in gaining the deep depths of this thing. So when I was at
Okay.
Infosys,
Hmm. Hmm.
I learned all these things, and after that, I joined there as a trainer. So I was teaching all of these things to other people.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it's like teaching other people also enhance the understanding, right?
Exactly. So whatever I had learned, I had reinforced it for the next 1 year when I was working at Infosys.
Mm-hmm. So what
So
kind of projects you had worked on in Infosys apart from training the people?
so because I was into education, training, and assessment department
Okay.
over there, we our
Mm-hmm.
primary role was to educate people on
Mm-hmm.
Python, SQL, machine learning, data analytics.
Okay.
This was our
Okay.
topics, and we used
Okay.
to do some consulting. So I was working with one senior technology architect at Infosys Mysore. So over there we had a
Mm-hmm.
project of a bank. So the challenges that
Mm-hmm.
I faced was that this bank was from Netherlands, and they
Hmm.
had their vision of building a fraud detection model or things like that. So
Okay.
there were two three
Mm-hmm.
projects that we were handling. Mine was to
Okay.
understand the grouping different clusters based on different uh, so how let me put it this way. We wanted to
Yeah.
categorize customers, and we
Hmm.
already had their attributes and they were already classified in some way or the other. But we wanted to
Hmm.
still have some options to group them. If there are three groups already, can we make them four and classify them again? For example, it's like silver, gold, and platinum. Can we make a diamond also out of it and
Hmm.
segregate things and
Hmm.
make different? So that is where I was
Hmm.
working. And the next one
Okay.
was to there was an so based on the income, based on different income groups that these people have, we were supposed to predict how much amount of loan this can be disbursed to them based on their credit profile. So the
Okay.
main challenge that I faced over there was they did not give us enough data. They were not ready to
Oh,
give us
okay.
their
Hmm.
data. We had
Hmm.
to use the synthetic data and
Hmm.
make models. And we were trying to convince these clients that our models are good. But deep
Hmm.
inside, I already knew that machine learning models uh, is not something that you do just using the algorithms. It's more has to do. It is something that more has to do with the data than the model.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Agree.
that is where I really felt that this is a challenge of working with a service industry,
Hmm.
because of the issues, these kind of issues. So this was just
Okay.
only one project where I worked very extensively on machine learning in the production environment. But by that time
Hmm.
I had really started developing more keen interest to be a full time person
Hmm.
in production rather than full time
Okay.
into training.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
started
Hmm.
looking out, and
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing: I've never applied for jobs.
Okay.
I've never applied for jobs. Going there and applying at different places and waiting for them to respond. I never do that.
Okay.
So
So
I
what
was
approach you had followed for that?
yes. I always rely on my network. I always
Okay.
try to make myself visible. The way you contacted me, the
Hmm.
same way recruiters reach me. So when you see
Okay.
the person is posting some good content, when you see that the
Hmm.
person really has the knowledge in this particular field, see, you don't know me, you have never met
Right.
me, you don't know me, but
Yes.
you still have this
Yes.
faith that this guy is a data scientist, and he if I give him a task, he will still do it. So I always try
Yeah.
to make a point that I make this impression in front of my recruiters, and these recruiters reach to me directly, and that is how I
Hmm.
approach for the interviews. Because when you go with this approach, half of the battle you have already won. How? Because they want you
Yeah.
rather than you wanting them to allow them for an interview. They are the ones who want you to interview you.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
this is the approach that I
Understood.
follow.
So this is a better approach rather than like it's like now they are approaching you that please join our company rather than we are going to them that I want to join your company, right?
Yeah, so I mean, both the ways are good. Neither of the
Hmm.
ways is better than the other. But the
Hmm.
point I'm trying to make is, when recruiters want you to get interview, then at that point of time, what happens is you are the already into the eyes of the recruiter in a way that I want this guy.
Hmm.
Let us try to see what does he have, whether he fits into our criteria or not.
Okay. Okay.
And now, when you are applying for jobs, you are trying to
Hmm.
convince them first that I am
Hmm.
already fit for a job or not, and then that is the point where they will classify you and they will go through your resumes and all those things. So that is
Hmm.
where there is a catch. So when
Hmm.
you want me to join you directly, then you are already
Hmm.
under an impression that this is a good guy. When
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
applying, then this is a condition where you are trying to evaluate me, that whether this person should be hired or not hired. That is the point that I'm trying to
Hmm.
make.
Yes, yes. That's a good point. That's really important to know, like, what kind of image you want to put in front of recruiters.
Correct. And I'll tell you the secret, how do I do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
sure, sure. Please share.
I'm always a person who wants to create content rather than consuming the content.
Okay.
So when you are creating good content on the platforms, people are
Hmm.
already watching you, and people are
Hmm.
developing a good understanding about you, that this is a guy, he knows about what he does. And this is
Hmm.
sufficient for you to get an interview. So whenever
Okay.
there is an
Okay.
opportunity and this person already
Hmm.
knows you, because this is a recruiter who wants to reach out to the right candidates,
Hmm.
he's you are already in the back of their mind. For an example, whenever you want to purchase a what should I say, um, paste
Yes.
for tooth, for rubbing your tooth or teeth,
Yeah.
which is the first
Okay.
name that comes to you?
Yeah, it's like which brand has done the marketing the most, like Colgate, right? That kind of thing.
The first name that comes to every child, I mean the mind of every child, is Colgate. Nobody will say even Pepsodent or Vajrayanti or Patanjali.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is an image
Yes.
that is created when you are posting content regularly from your handles on different
Hmm.
channels.
Yes, yes. And I
It
think
does
that's
create a good
why,
image.
yeah, so that's why for the data shorts, the YouTube channel that you had created, there you are like basically teaching people that basically represent your work, right? That's
Correct.
how people can let you, like, people can know about you basically. That, okay,
Exactly.
you
There
know
are
these
very,
things and you are good at these things.
yeah, correctly. See, if you were to judge me whether I'm a good speaker or not, you are going to test
Hmm.
me first, and then you have to decide. That will be a long process. If I create a video and
Right.
I already put there, and
Hmm.
you can see my visibility from LinkedIn, you can go to my Instagram, you can verify it from a YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and so three different channels: Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You already see
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
this guy is doing this thing in since long time. YouTube, you can see this
Hmm.
is the last 1 year I've been posting content over there. So I don't need to prove
Hmm.
myself that I know data science. You can already see by my past history. So you are sure that this
Hmm.
guy knows Python. That is why he's coming and teaching there. Now I don't need to interview him.
Hmm. Yes, yes, absolutely right. That's how we make the present. So, in that case, I would like to ask one question, Ashwarya. Like, LinkedIn has released one feature as a video profile. So, what's your
Yeah.
thought on that? Should we create such kind of video profile to get noticed by the recruiters for data science?
I would say there is no harm in going ahead with that. And
Okay.
there is this is an art. This is an art, what we call in Hindi, we call it gagar mein sagar bhar dena. So
Yeah.
this is a art, I would say, in 10 minutes if you can describe yourself, and the recruiter
Yeah.
can come to know. This is what I follow in my resumes also. So in my resume I make it a point that the recruiter, I know that the recruiter, the HR, she doesn't study deep learning, she doesn't know anything about linear regression also. So I make a
Hmm.
point to make it a very simple. If you go on my LinkedIn profile and see my resume, you will see my
Hmm.
career summary, and just right below it you will see my technical skills. This is what
Hmm.
recruiters look for. They don't understand
Yeah.
what machine learning is or deep learning. They might not even know the difference in it. But if you have
Hmm.
written it, they just scan for these keywords. That's all what they do. And you
So
make a point that
basically,
you
you focus putting as much as keywords possible. If whatever you know about, just put it on the form in the set of skills, right? That's how you will get noticed by the recruiters through your resume. If I'm right.
correct. Yes. So
Okay.
Arpita, the main thing is, let
Hmm.
me put it very simple. See,
Hmm.
if I'm applying for a job, manager is
Hmm.
not going to see my resume and shortlist it. The shortlisting will be done
Correct.
by HR.
Hmm.
So my first point to understand is that I should make sure that the HR goes through my resume and selects it.
Yes, exactly. I agree. I totally agree because that's how we also do sometimes. We focus on what kind of skills we need, and based on that, we select resumes. Right. So,
Yeah, that's all.
basically, apart from the skills, like what points you feel that should be mentioned in the resume? Like just points I want to know so that that will be helpful for all data science aspirants here. That okay, I have to rebuild a resume in that way. That structure or the points, bullet points that I basically need to pay attention on.
Main thing that the person understands is, uh, whenever a recruiter wants to hire a person, he or she looks
Hmm.
for three four different things. First is the technical skills,
Hmm.
next is the communication skills, and
Hmm.
then the next one is the kind of projects that this person has done, whether they are
Hmm.
related to machine learning or not. So if a person is a data science, a recruiter itself,
Hmm.
so this
Hmm.
person would be also be able to understand what kind of projects you have done, because
Hmm.
more or less some gist of it by the heading you will get to know. And the last thing is
Hmm.
whether this person has done some research work, published some papers in some good
Hmm.
journals or reputed, like for an
Hmm.
example, IEEE or Springer
Hmm.
or things like that.
Hmm.
So when these
Hmm.
4 points are there, you don't need
Hmm.
much proof for you to justify that you know this field. Now, what the next point that comes is a discussion.
Hmm. So tell me one thing, Aishwarya, here, as you mentioned, the communication skill. So communication skills is something that can be checked only while taking the interview. So how will you suggest that we can put some words into the resume so that it can be analyzed? Okay, this person has good communication skills as well.
First of all, a very good English grammar inside your resume.
Right, right.
Next,
Okay.
next thing is explicitly mention there what kind of
Hmm.
team you have worked in. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, I have attached my resume on the document section. So over there, if you
Hmm.
go, you'll be able to find it, and you will be able to understand that I have written it very clearly over there that I have
Hmm.
trained these many employees in machine learning. Next thing is
Hmm.
I've written it over there, very good communication skills. Next line that I've written is ability to communicate very complex data science concepts to people in simple English. And the last point that I mentioned over there is I have an experience of working with teams in different countries from UK, India, Belarus, and different countries that I've worked for. So this justifies that this guy has
Hmm.
experience of working with different countries. This guy, because
Hmm.
this can train people, he can speak well. So itna
Hmm.
impression aa jata hai. So we get a little bit of impression in
Okay.
this much.
Okay, so there is one more question, Ashwarya, here. Like, let's suppose, because you already worked in the companies, you have trained the people, so you have such things to put in your resume. But let's suppose if there is one person who is just a student or college grad, and that person wants to put such kind of communication skills. So, what you suggest that can be put in their resume?
Yeah. So a few things that I know I want you to be very clear about people. I want to be you to tell your students
Hmm.
or the listeners is um,
Hmm.
you should never fake on your resumes. So that is the very
Hmm.
good question that you have asked. If you don't know
Hmm.
this, if you're not done this, don't write it, don't copy it. Maybe you
Hmm.
can just tell ki you have good skills in
Hmm.
you whatever good skills you have. For example, some people are good in visualizing data. Some people are good
Hmm.
data storytellers. So people can
Hmm.
use data to tell stories, or there is an art of telling your explanation in the form of a story. You can write something
Okay.
like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
always honest to be it's always a good thing to be honest. If you don't know it, don't write it.
Hmm.
But you can
Hmm.
always, as a data scientist or as an aspiring data scientist, I would always
Hmm. Hmm.
encourage people to develop this skill of communicating very very complex data problems into
Hmm.
very very
Hmm.
simple English statements for
Hmm.
any person to understand. The reason is, when you are a data scientist, whenever I have
Hmm.
worked as a data scientist in my previous
Hmm.
two assignments, so
Hmm.
while at Globant, I was working with different companies. Their clients were from BFSI. They were from capital
Hmm.
banking. Sorry, this
Hmm.
supply chain,
Hmm.
pharmaceutical. Then one of
Hmm.
them was big four. So these were consulting people. So whenever I
Hmm.
was working in the last 2 years, I was always
Hmm.
working with the people, those who were minimum
Hmm.
managers and senior delivery managers. And in
Hmm.
my first assignment, I was working with a chief data scientist. So all these people, they work very close with the business. What do I
Hmm.
mean by business? These are the heads of data science or the people, those who are into key decision making. Now, if you're not good
Hmm.
at communicating things, if you're not good at communicating your complex analysis into simple English to these people,
Hmm.
then then you will not be able to justify the role of a data scientist. So communication is something that is most important. And if
Okay.
that is
Hmm. Hmm.
not there, then it should be developed.
Hmm. Yes, yes. Over the time, like by the practice, it can be definitely developed. So there is one question here, as like we are talking about the resume. So like people generally get confused that how many projects they should put on. First question. Second is also I have seen so far that the person has worked in the NLP, deep learning, computer vision, and also time series. There are multiple different domains. So what
Yeah.
would you advise? Like, should we keep all the projects in one resume, or like it depends on the job description, like which company we are applying to? Based on that, we need to put the projects.
So Arpita, I'll be very honest here. My
Mm-hmm.
personal experience of even writing the JDs, working with the recruiters, because I was in the panel of hiring people
Mm-hmm.
at different companies. So
Mm-hmm.
when we were trying to communicate our requirements to HRs,
Hmm.
what they used to do, they, because they just wanted to get the things done, they had a lot of
Hmm.
work. So many a times what they
Hmm.
used to do, they just used to go and copy paste the job description, and they used to just copy paste it and make it a generic one. So many a times this
Hmm.
was the case that I have observed HRs doing, because
Hmm.
that is not their fault. The main reason is
Hmm.
this field is very very new, and even the
Hmm.
people, because see, I'll tell you something. For example, if there's one team that wants to hire a data scientist, and
Hmm.
actually let me tell you that, let me put it this way. So for an example,
Hmm.
the company who is a service based industry,
Hmm.
those who will want to hire, those who would want to hire a person for not
Hmm.
just for one client, but this company wants to hire people, in which,
Hmm.
for an example, if I'm working for company X, and this X
Hmm.
company has ABCD clients. So
Hmm.
this company would not just want to hire a person who can work for client A or client B. This company
Hmm.
would want to have a person who is trainable to work with all of them if it is required.
Okay. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
in this
So
case, if you're applying,
basically, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, please go ahead.
yes. So if you are applying for service companies, it is always better. It is always better that um you
To
mention,
put all the
keep
things.
your, yes. But if you're working, if you're, for an example, because I've all currently I'm working in the R&D department of Seagate, and they are
Hmm.
very clear with their requirements what they want me to do. So they only
Hmm.
evaluated me on those
Hmm.
particular things which they need, and
Okay.
what they were looking for from me in their job description. They have clearly mentioned what they were looking
Hmm.
for. So if I match that job description with my resume, then they would
Hmm. Hmm.
definitely hire me. But if our requirements are not matching, then that's not there's no point of mentioning if they don't need computer vision, and
Hmm.
you're putting there, then it doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
So for service companies, put everything. For product
Hmm.
companies, make sure you put what they need.
Okay. So, and
And
one more thing I asked, like, how many projects we need to put in the resume, basically, a general thing.
so let me put it this. Let me mention one person who is the owner of a company I had an interaction with. So
Hmm.
I was talking to him about,
Hmm.
how do you hire. So he always
Hmm.
asked me. I always look for
Hmm.
projects in which I can play around, and the code is, in a way hosted somewhere where I can go and check their work and actually verify that this guy knows this. So this is what they do. So the ways to do it, you make it, you put it, and you give the link to it directly so that person can go and see. And I would always say that if you want to stand out, always
Hmm.
do such projects which are not the regular ones. For an example, customer churn is a regular thing, credit card fraud
Yes.
is a regular thing.
Yes.
Everybody knows
Yes.
this, and everybody is putting it.
Hmm.
Take up your own
Hmm.
problem statement. Take up your own simple
Hmm.
thing. For an example, in
Hmm.
my city,
Hmm.
how many people were there, collect the data, make it
Hmm.
proper. And for
Hmm.
an example, you can make a dashboard for COVID by your
Hmm.
own thing, make it your own personal project. And if you
Hmm.
put
Hmm.
it that way, then it would make more sense for any person to hire you, because you have done everything from scratch, and rather than you have copied anything from there and just followed them and made it on your own name. So even Udacity, if you
Yeah.
ask me,
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
was doing their nano degree, they gave us five,
Hmm.
6 different options with their data set. They
Hmm.
had their questions, but they never gave us their code.
Hmm.
They
That's
were
that's
just,
really great advice. Actually, like, if this is the point, that's how, like, we make our resume different. Because I also have seen so many resumes, and there are few projects that when I see this, then I completely reject it. Like, okay, this is the thing that I have heard so many times, and there are high chances that it has been copied as well. Right. So this is also a one point that I agree with you here, that if the common project is there, then recruiters do not focus on that. I completely agree on that. So, Aishwarya, like, in next 5 minutes, after next 5 minutes, we are going to take questions from all the users. So I just want to know one more thing, like, as you have described your experience at Infosys. Apart from that, would you like to share your experience at Seagate and Globant as well?
yes, I was about to tell, if even if you don't have asked me, I was about to share that, I would like to
Okay, okay.
specifically mention it,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this
sure.
was one of a kind experience, and I mean I'm really very happy to share this with, because this is
Mm-hmm.
something that my decision had really helped me a lot, because I had never never drifted away from basics. So I always wanted
Hmm.
that I should be very good with basics. So I
Hmm.
focused a lot on maths at
Okay.
Infosys
Hmm.
as well, and even before in
Hmm.
my college. So
Hmm.
I never went away from it. So when I was interviewed at Globant, the
Hmm.
questions that were asked to me
Hmm.
were from the perspective of hiring for a client which is going to work heavily on statistics. I gave
Can
just a
you please
30-minute.
sorry to interrupt. Can you please mention few questions like that can be helpful for all the people here? Like such kind of questions they can expect in
Yes,
general. I'm asking. Yeah.
yes. Let me open that list because I always keep them with me handy.
Oh, that's
Just give
cool.
me a second.
Yeah, sure.
So they always ask you,
Hmm.
whenever they are hiring you for such roles, if you
Hmm.
are not good at your basics, they would not
Hmm.
entertain you further. So you should be
Hmm.
very good at explaining the difference between mean, mode, and median. What is the
Hmm.
need for having median if you already have mean?
Hmm.
Then you should be able to tell what are the assumptions of linear regression.
Yeah. Even
How do you?
I also ask this question every time in the interview.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, no, no. Don't worry. It's like a. It's not a monologue. It's a
Hmm.
dialogue, so not a problem.
Hmm.
Yes, and then because there are a lot of people those who have their own way of interviewing, but good people who have who have really good experience in hiring, they understand if the
Hmm.
guy is not good at basics, let us not
Hmm.
entertain him further. The interview will
Hmm.
never last for more than 15-25 minutes. This is how
Hmm.
we do it. This is how we do at every place wherever we take interviews. So
Okay.
these are
Okay.
mean median mode. Then how do you understand hypothesis testing? Very important.
Hmm.
So at
Hmm.
Seagate, they specifically asked me to solve a case of hypothesis
Hmm.
where I had to create where they have given me their problem statement, but I have to come
Hmm.
up with and their data set, and I had to come up with my own analysis, own feature engineering, own feature selection, then
Hmm.
creating my own hypothesis and then explaining why my hypothesis is failing or it is not failing, or how do we fail to reject the hypothesis. So this is a thing
Okay.
that is everybody is asking.
So it's like it's a completely use case they have provided basically, or it was asked in the time of interview itself. Like they ask you the methods, or it's like the task was given to you and then you had to complete it.
Okay, so
What was like?
let us first talk specifically about Globant, and then we'll talk
Hmm.
about Seagate because
Sure.
both are
Sure.
different industries. One is
Sure.
service and another is product.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you talk about Globant, they will look for a
Hmm.
perfect fit at different roles across different clients.
Hmm.
So if because it's a service company, they would check you for your basics and right from the beginning to the end, whether you are able to understand how to solve machine learning problems, the different
Hmm.
aspects of machine learning algorithms. That is what they are going
Hmm.
to understand from you.
Hmm.
And they are
Okay.
also going to check you heavily on your data structures. They are not going to leave you on
Okay.
that because this is a place
Okay.
from where they decide how much depth this person has specifically for solving problems when it comes to data structures and logic.
So
Okay, so
just
this is
one small question here, like what platform or what method you suggest people to basically learn data structure or in a competitive manner?
okay. So my I'm not advertising myself, but for list and
Hmm.
dictionary you can follow my particular videos. There are only two lectures, 1 hour.
Hmm.
If you study
Hmm.
them, everything is going to be
Hmm.
crystal clear. Apart from it,
Okay.
three blue, one brown, and
Yes.
three
Hmm.
blue, one brown, then Corey
Hmm.
Schaffer, and then code basics. Code basics is something that I really admire this guy because this guy teaches a lot of things, and he keeps inviting people
Hmm.
like from industry, those who are doing very good. So interviews are very good. So code basics is the one number one. Then
Hmm.
Akshay
Hmm.
Saini is the one. He also teaches
Hmm.
data engineering, JavaScript. So
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is Akshay Saini, and then you
Hmm.
can also subscribe to my channel. I'm also going to
Hmm.
keep bringing a lot of content like this because I have also got these good questions. So I'm definitely
Hmm.
going to make videos how to approach them. And
Hmm. Hmm.
three blue, one brown. Stats Quest.
Hmm.
Stats Quest is something specifically that you should follow. Uska machine learning
Hmm.
बहुत अच्छा है. Over
Okay.
there, he teaches a lot of good things about statistics. He also
Hmm.
goes in such a detail to explain what is the difference between likelihood and probability. We think that it is the same, but it is not same.
Okay. Okay. That's
So
great.
this was about
That's great.
Globant. Now
Hmm.
about Seagate.
Hmm.
So when you're interviewing at Seagate or any product company, I mean, let us not just put it like this way that it is about Seagate, but apart from
Hmm.
it, whenever I'm interviewing for any product companies, so there was one company for which I have interviewed. It was based out of Netherlands. It was a startup. It was giving a full
Hmm.
visa sponsor, relocation,
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the way they were trying to interview me was the HR.
Hmm.
She when she had made this round request of the first round, she was trying to
Hmm.
understand how much percentage of my work was allocated to which particular task of machine learning, including
Hmm. Hmm.
BI, any preparing the reports, and also
Hmm.
how much was the task, how much amount of work that I used to do was for data cleaning, pre-processing, and then machine learning. And she also wanted
Okay.
to understand my personality in terms of how I would be able to fit in their culture or not. So she
Hmm.
asked
Hmm.
me very specific questions. This is
Hmm.
from where they make their decisions whether they want to hire this person or not. So
Hmm. Hmm.
they would always want to check you with why are you looking forward to join their organizations. In product company, they would always evaluate you कि आपको उसमें जाना क्यों है? Why would you really want to go there?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if their mission statement and your mission statements are different, then they won't hire you. And next thing is
Okay.
what really excites
Hmm.
you the most. She will ask you this question: what excites you the most about
Hmm.
working at our company? So
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
will ask you this to judge you, and then she will also ask you what excited you the most happiest moment about working at your previous company. What was it? She would ask you.
Hmm.
This question is a
Hmm.
very important question to understand. Why? Because the
Hmm.
kind of things that you really liked the most in the previous organizations, if you don't get it in the next one, then you
Hmm.
might feel frustrated over there, which is what
Yeah.
would make you understand or stand out from whether you want to join this and you are genuinely willing to join, and whether you're going to be cultural fit or not. So these are the few
Hmm.
things
Hmm.
that product companies evaluate you on.
Okay. Okay. We got this. We got this. So, Ashwarya, now I am going to take the questions like from the people. So, guys, if you have any questions to ask Ashwarya, yeah, please raise your hand. We will allow you to speak and then you can ask your questions. Yeah, Meera wants to ask. Yeah, Meera. Yeah, Meera, you can speak now.
Sorry, I was on mute. So my name is Meera. So I'm currently in my fourth year of BTech, and I'm an EC student, but I want to have a career in data science and data analytics. So, what is the usual process that they see for at a BTech level? Like, what's the usual process that they follow? Do they take up a normal coding test, and then in the interview, do they check your ML understanding? Or do they go ahead with a case study based question and then give you time for it to analyze and then get back to you? What is the usual process?
They try a combination of all these things.
Okay.
Okay, so
uh
Meera, you have to prepare everything in that case.
okay. Yeah. And just one more question as well. So do they basically test on SQL only, or what is the most skill set which they look for you in the resume or web when they're trying to see for candidates?
See, if it is like a mass hiring, they would only ask you your logic. So you should be able to solve questions on hacker rank kind of environments. If you are able to solve these test cases, then they will be able to filter you. This is the first filter that they put. If it is like a mass hiring, they want to hire 1,000 people out of 10,000 people. So this is the way to understand whether this person knows coding or not. Because if you know coding and logic, then it makes sense to interview you. This is the first idea behind hiring a person for data science roles or any different role at any different organization if it is a big one. And then later on they proceed with the technical interview face to face, and then last is HR round and things like that. But if it is like a small organization or a mid-size organization, they have their own different ways of evaluating people. So that is why I said combination of all these things, and they keep trying and evaluating and improving upon their existing process, because data science in itself is a new field, and they are still coming up. See, the people, those who are leaders in the industry, when they were there learning, they were in their learning phase, they were into most they have come from a development environment to data science. And the people, those who are currently in the field of this world of data science, they are starting directly from data science. So you're getting my point. Both the things are two different aspects of the computer science, and the person who has come from development is trying to evaluate a person from data science. So there is a mismatch in the evaluation criteria itself. So this is where both have to come to a common point to evaluate and get evaluated. So that is why they try all these different things.
Okay. And for data science, do they look for a combination of both machine learning and deep learning, or having a good understanding of machine learning is also sufficient?
At a fresher level, currently the people, those who are there in different universities, because they have access to different online courses, and they do come up with their own understanding of deep learning and machine learning both. So they do not rule out. Only lazy people leave deep learning and only learn machine learning as when they are students. And the people, those who are progressive students, the people, those who want to stand out, the ones that I have seen getting packages of 12 lakh rupees or 15 lakh rupees per annum in their beginning ones, no machine learning. But if somebody just want to be at the role of a data analyst, or they just want to start with some BI development or something like that, they skip deep learning, and they even skip machine learning. They are content with Python, data analytics, pandas, numpy, scikit-learn, things like that. They don't even study statistics. So so to answer your question, if you want to go to a level of data analyst, learn analytics of machine learning, sorry, analysis of data, data preparing and all these things, and you should be good to start with it. If you want to become a machine learning engineer, you should be able to understand machine learning algorithms, that too in a uh, good and deep sense. And if you want to become a data scientist, you should know how to work with text data, image data, and numerical data all together. All these things with machine learning and deep learning. So this is how the entire thing works.
Okay. Okay. Understood. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meera, and thank you, Ashwarya, for answering the Meera's question. So now we are going to take Sonali. I think you raised a hand. Yeah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Sir, my question is you talked about mission statement. So, how do we get to know the exact mission statement of that company?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sonali. So if it is Flipkart, you know the mission statement. If it is Amazon, you know that they want to become the world's most customer centric company. So they always evaluate you in the same. Even in the interviews, even if you are very good at technical skills and all those things, but you don't know how to talk well with the people. I have seen people getting rejected in the seventh round just because this person was answering in a way that they understood that this guy would disrespect our customer when he calls up, because Amazon employees are expected to be on call whenever they are required to be. So you got the idea, right? So if it is, so the one that I got interviewed for was a e-commerce startup in Netherlands. So their mission statement was clearly written on their website that they want to make e-commerce website specifically for tourism in Netherlands. So when you analyze their website, when you go through their website, you try to understand their history, past, even I'll tell you one very interesting story. The one that I just got to know today morning. There is one of my friends. He's studying in Cardiff Metropolitan University in UK. So
Mhm.
He has electives of machine learning, cybersecurity, deep learning, and different ones. So there was one, his wavelength matched with one professor because he's from Sri Lanka. Not just because he's from Sri Lanka and this was a racism kind of a thing. The wavelength got matched because he's a cricket fan and this guy is also a cricket fan. They both sat together. They started talking about cricket, and in the meantime, we just said, what? Let us. If you would like to get an internship in UK, it is very difficult because the internships are less, the candidates are more. You can do it under me. I like you. So this is how, many a times, and trust me, this is a very important factor in making any decision, whether this is for an internal job posting or whether this is an external job posting. I have seen this very important human factor that is involved in making a decision of any person, especially for data science, where things are very complex. So whenever, for an example, if I want to hire Sonali, and I get to see that, one of my previous friends has worked in the team of Sonali. So I will call my friend and ask ki, अरे भाई सोनाली का कैसा background है, please tell me how did she work in the previous work, how she was, people would ask this. If this is, some, they get to see some connection. And if you just get to make a contact or a common thing with some person in the first meeting or something like that, these things are rare, but these things does make important uh, this factor for decision. Even at Seagate, I was referred by one of my friend, and he said that, because I can see that your growth has been good, and I can, let me talk to my manager if he wants you to have an interview with you. There were in like 4 to 5 months, um, there were 500 applications, and last 5 months they did not take any candidate, and I was selected over there. And I could say that the most important factor was my technical skills in a combination of the human factor. So that really makes an important factor in deciding whether this person is to be hired. And this is where you have to understand that mission statement is going to be working for you or not. I don't know whether you are totally convinced with my answer or not, but you can just take away from this point is that first impressions and common things are very important for you to get selected. They do make a very good, and communication is really important. If you are not confident in what you are answering at that point of time in whatever you have been asked, then the person becomes suspicious कि यार इसको लेना है कि नहीं लेना है. That these things do happen.
Okay,
Yes,
I
sir.
hope Sonali you got your answer.
Yes, ma'am. So, one more question is, as I'm an intern, like I'm in second year of my college, just 4 semester, and I am doing internship for machine learning and data analytics. So, during this time, we get lots of we get confused, like in which domain we should go. Like if I am interested in finance, I can do analysis in marketing as well. I can do analysis on health center data set as well. So it becomes very confusing in which domain we should get more focused on. So can you help me with that?
Yeah,
So
actually, I also have heard this question many times from the aspirants, like which domain we should prefer, because when we start, they don't know anything, right? So, like, it will be really useful if you can answer this question.
yes. So the answer to this question is, this is a question that I used to ask whenever I used to meet a person whom I
Mm-hmm.
considered a knowledgeable guy. So I have asked this
Mm-hmm.
same question to Vittal Kamath. He is the owner of this Kamath restaurants. This guy, and
Mm-hmm.
then one more person is Bajaj ka jo person hai. He's the chairman of Bajaj, and then one more
Mm-hmm.
guy. So I asked the same question to all the three people. There was an interview
Mm-hmm.
panel that was being held, and the question that I asked was, how do I identify which particular domain I should go in, and how do I get convinced that this is the mission statement of my life. So this guy told me कि if you are not sure where you want to go and where you want to work, the best way to do
Mm-hmm.
is you keep a diary with you always and keep writing whatever thoughts come to you, whatever ideas that come to you. And
Mm-hmm.
when you are having, let us say 100 ideas, then sit down
Mm-hmm.
and then narrow down things and then evaluate which is the best one. Now coming to the data science part of this particular aspect, So whether BFSI is good, or whether healthcare is good, pharma is good, or whether it is IoT, or whether what I have seen data science being used in Volvo trucks. So they wanted to identify key when our particular fuel injector needs to be replaced or not. What is the life of it? So this is the problem statement that these people are working on. And healthcare people also do this. So the answer to this question is there now, because in the today's world we have a lot of access to YouTube. There are many people, those who are expert in their particular domain, and they keep giving out their talks like the one that you are attending right now. Go there, attend them, try to take a problem statement, solve it on your own. Whatever really strikes you the most, that would make you really happy. And for an example, if you took out a problem of finance, so there was one of my friend who was very good, who was working with a good product company over there. He was working in the research labs of that particular company, and this was a product company. And then later on, after when I got a job at Seagate, he called me up and said, "Hey Ashwar, I'm so happy for you. You got a very good job. Now I'm also planning to switch to this particular company." And I asked him, why you want to switch? Because you're working at a very good place. Then he said, अरे क्या करे यार, एक ही एक काम पे हम लोग एक ही एक मॉडल बना बना के सेम चीज रिपीट कर करके थक गए. So this is what happens. So it is always a good thing to have a longer horizon. I mean, take out a time of at least 3 to 4 years, work in 3 to 4 different domains. Then you will understand ki where you will be able to fit, because eventually you need to work with with a particular thing for a longer time to understand whether it is for you or not. Because eventually
Yeah.
when you work in the industry, you will get bored. Because I have worked with finance, that was a supply chain finance company. They had their own things, but when I explored that, then I saw that this is the same thing that they're repeating. Now what is in it, what is new for me in that? I got bored in 1 year. Then I switched to pharma. Over there the
Hmm.
problems were in a different way. Then I moved to consulting. So it was big four. So I
So
worked with two big four
Ashwarya,
companies.
sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
here. One question, in pharma, which project you have taken?
So over there, their requirement was to build up a knowledge repository, because they had their documents coming from different sources. We wanted to make a centralized one, and they wanted
Hmm.
to do it. So that was mainly applied data science and not the development of. So one thing I would like to point out here,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of things that you learn in different courses is not necessarily what you're going to implement in your companies. Most of the companies would want you to have applied kind of data science things. So there
Hmm.
are already built up projects, maybe data science as a service, and that is what they
Hmm.
would want you to implement, and just use their APIs and call them and get the things done. That is all what they would want. Because they would not want you to, until and unless you're working in a research and development environment like that I am working on. In
Hmm.
service companies, most of the companies would just want you to get the things done, not build things from scratch, because that doesn't make sense to them. They just want to classify things. And there are people, those who have researched a lot, put billions of dollars in developing a model, and then you just have to use their API. That is better for them, because that is their, what is the problem statement that they want to have.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So we are going to take one more question from person NS. Yeah, and then we will wrap it up as we are already like on the time. So yeah, Anis, please ask your question. And sorry, I don't know your full name. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes. Hello all. Aishwarya, I just wanted to know regarding Python in interview, exactly what all type of questions they ask. Like for coding interview, how should we prepare? Because there are so many different libraries that original Python can be skipped. So do basic, I wouldn't say basic, but like oops of Pythons are asked in the interviews, which can be overcome by the new libraries, or if it's okay if we answer by the new libraries their solution.
Okay, so your question is done.
Yes, it's done.
Okay, so very good question, NS. I don't know your full name. So so the answer to your question would be, right now you're talking to me in English, right? How would you evaluate me whether I speak good English or not?
I listening to you.
Exactly. So the purpose of language is just to communicate to the computer, nothing more than that. Okay. So the person who would evaluate you would not, if he's a good interviewer, he would not evaluate you how well you speak a language. This person would evaluate you whether you are able to communicate your concepts through that language. So what do I mean by that? He would ask you questions in which he would understand how do you apply that language. For an example, whether you are able to solve a particular question and develop some logic to it, or otherwise, see, object oriented programming concepts remain same throughout different languages. So but there are just this, subtle differences of different languages. So he would evaluate you on your understanding of oops, and how much well you are able to develop logic on that particular language. And at max, if this person wants to understand you on advanced Python, this person would be asking you for specific constructs of Python like descriptors, generator, iterator, and some design patterns of Python if it is the requirement of their project. This is how it works when it is coming to evaluating a person on any particular language. Not that they would be willing to understand how well you know different libraries. Libraries and all can be learnt up even eventually over a period of time if it is the very crucial thing for them, or if it is not a very, see, there are two three aspects of evaluating anybody on Python or any languages. How much part of this particular language they are going to use more crucially. If it is like data science, they would definitely evaluate you on pandas and numpy. But if it is a web development, they would evaluate you how well you know Django, for an example, or Flask or things like that. So it's not just only about a generic question, so it's more specific thing that you would be evaluated on.
Okay. Yeah, Aishwarya, we got your answer. I think now NS is also like satisfied with your answer. Just one last question we would like to take from Prathamesh. You have one question, right?
Yeah, yeah. So hi
Yeah,
Aishwarya.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question like the complete data science domain includes so much of maths, like right right starting from stats to like machine learning, deep learning, like everything. So like how do you prepare, like how do you remember so much of maths like during interview or before interview? Like how do you recall all these concepts?
So first of all, maths is not nonsense. It's really a sensible thing. And if you really get into, if you really become friends with maths, it will start making sense with you. To start with, I would say that you start with understanding different basics of linear algebra, matrices, and things like that, because this is something that helps you in understanding backpropagation, forward propagation, and all these things. Entire deep learning is primarily, calculus and linear statistics, linear
Yeah.
algebra, and statistics. So I would say you really need to become friends with it first of all. And then when basics are clear to you, see how you are able to understand what is 4 plus 4 so easily. Initially it would have been so difficult for you, because um, over a period of time you practice it and you become like that. So I have 4 years of experience in this field, so now things make sense to me because I have been with this field for a longer time. Now if you want to really start making sense of things, spend a lot of time with maths. So for an example, if you are not able to understand the a girl that you are trying to become friends with, how would you understand it more? How would you understand her more? By spending more time with her and understanding how she really behaves in some particular situations. Same is with mathematics. So if you spend more time with this particular aspect of maths, linear algebra, matrices, and calculus and derivatives, this will really start making sense to you. It's just a matter of time and practice that is separating you from developing a good relationship with this aspect of machine learning. And it really is important to understand all these things, I would say.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Aishwarya.
Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. Actually you have given the right advice. The more we practice, maths is something which can't be remembered. It can be learned by practice, more and more practice. Thank you so much, Ashwarya, for joining us in this session. I hope you also enjoyed answering the questions and sharing the experience. And I'm hoping that this is really good session for all the aspirants as well. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Arpita. It was a pleasure to speak with the students here and the aspirants here, and it's a place that we keep learning this field. And I'm really happy to be with you here. Thank you for inviting me, and all the best to all the aspirants that have joined and taken out a time to listen to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys, all of you who has joined the session, and I hope it was worth for all of you. Okay, see you again in the next session. Till then, we are signing off now. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Arpita. Thank you for arranging this
Thank you.
session.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.